Hey everyone, welcome to today's explainer. Look, if you are a young professional right now and you're feeling that heavy, just completely exhausting weight of hustle culture, you are absolutely in the right place. I mean, we live in a world that literally never stops telling us to do more, achieve more, and just be more, right? Well, today we are going to completely flip that script. We're using a truly profound piece of timeless wisdom as our guide, specifically a Hukamnama, or divine command, from page 798 of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib. Now, sure, it's an ancient text, but as we're about to see, the way it applies to your modern daily grind is honestly incredible. Okay, let's dive into this, because this question right here, this is the absolute core of our modern struggle. I mean, just think about a typical week. We're constantly chasing that next promotion, we're desperately trying to hit our quarterly metrics, and we are practically starving for just a little bit of praise from our managers or peers. It's a wildly stressful reality, isn't it? We kind of just tie our entire sense of well-being to these external finish lines, convincing ourselves that, hey, once we cross them, we'll finally be able to breathe. But what if that whole equation is completely backward? The text gives us this incredibly powerful line. It reads, "Through the word of the Shabad, I've burnt away egotism and Maya." Now, you might be sitting there wondering, what does a centuries-old spiritual concept literally have to do with surviving a hyper-competitive modern office environment? Well, it has everything to do with it. Because the exact things that cause us the most anxiety at work, that burning need to outshine everybody else, or the deep fear of falling behind, they are rooted entirely in exactly what this text is telling us to burn away. Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is how it completely reframes this ancient concept of Maya for us today. See, Maya isn't some mystical, abstract idea floating in the clouds. No, for us, Maya is literally that toxic treadmill of external validation we're all running on every single day. It's this persistent, sticky illusion that your continuous praise, your fancy job title, or your material wealth will eventually magically equal internal peace. But here's the kicker. The treadmill never actually stops, does it? The goalpost just keeps moving. And that right there is the illusion of Maya in the modern workplace. So stepping off that treadmill requires a massive internal shift, which the text calls burning the ego. Practically speaking, what does that actually look like for you and me? Well, it means letting go of that desperate, clawing need to always be the smartest person in the room during your next team meeting, or having to have the absolute final word on an endless, agonizing email chain. It means noticing when a colleague challenges your idea, and instead of instantly getting defensive, instead of letting your ego jump in the ring to fight back, you just take a breath. You pause. You literally detach your self-worth from that immediate need to be right. It's a purely internal mental shift, but let me tell you, it is incredibly liberating. And once you start clearing away all that ego and that illusion, what actually takes its place? The text provides the ultimate solution to our modern burnout right here. The Naam, the name of the Lord, has spontaneously come to abide in my mind. What this is really about is shifting your focus entirely. Instead of trying to find your grounding from external circumstances, which, let's face it, are always changing and usually chaotic, you find a grounding mechanism that is completely internal, unshakable, and deeply beautifully spontaneous. We can really understand this concept of Naam as a kind of divine anchor. It is this universal truth that provides a really profound protective stillness. Think of it like being in the eye of a hurricane. When your inbox is absolutely flooded, you've got deadlines crashing down, and a demanding boss breathing down your neck, the chaos is just swirling all around you. It's a mess out there. But internally, you're anchored. You are tapped into a foundational truth that totally protects your mindset and keeps you from getting swept away in the storm. Let's move to the next part and see how this builds, because this brings us to a frankly staggering thought from the text. How rare is that person who looks upon life and death alike? Wow. In our modern context, this translates to the really profound concept of maintaining perfect equanimity. It's all about facing the absolute polar extremes of our daily lives and our careers, and somehow maintaining this steady, unwavering heart straight through the middle of it all. To really wrap our heads around this, let's just compare the highest highs and the lowest lows of your career. I mean, the highs, they're genuinely thrilling. Getting glowing praise, scoring a massive promotion, pulling off a huge project success. We love those. But the lows can be totally devastating, right? Harsh criticism, a major setback, or just a total embarrassing failure. Achieving the mindset described in our text means realizing that neither of these extremes, no matter how intense, has the power to shake your core identity. You don't let the promotion inflate your ego into arrogance, and you absolutely don't let the failure crush your spirit into despair. You just remain steady. And this brilliantly illustrates what true resilience actually looks like in practice. Equanimity is simply keeping your center when the entire office is spinning out of control around you. Now, don't get me wrong, it isn't about not caring. Not at all. It's about not emotionally overreacting to every single corporate fire that suddenly pops up. It's having that rare ability to quietly absorb your own thoughts, find that internal stillness we talked about, and act from a place of crystal clarity rather than a place of panic. Now, I want to completely pivot away from those nagging feelings of imposter syndrome that so many of us struggle with daily. The text reveals an absolute game changer of a secret regarding our intrinsic self-worth. It says, "Within the home of the self are all the millions of treasures." I really want you to let that sink in for a second. You don't have to go out into the frantic corporate world to somehow acquire value. All the millions of treasures you could ever need already exist right there, inside the home of your very own self. So what exactly are these millions of treasures? Well, they are your modern intrinsic values. They're your resilience in the face of a brutal challenge. It's your clarity when you're forced to make a really tough decision. Your empathy toward a coworker who's quietly struggling. It's your deep underlying peace. These treasures exist deep within the very nucleus of who you are. And here's the best part. Unlike a year-end bonus or a fleeting little pat on the back from your boss, these inner treasures can literally never be taken away from you. And they never run out. Okay, so how do we actually type into this, say, on a crazy, stressful Tuesday afternoon? It's remarkably simple, and you don't need to buy a course or use any external tools to do it. First, just pause the external noise. Literally, just close your laptop for 60 seconds. Second, recognize the ego at play. Just quietly acknowledge to yourself that your stress right now is probably tied to a fear of how you're being perceived. And third, consciously connect to that profound stillness inside. Remember your anchor. Feel those intrinsic treasures that are already sitting right there waiting for you. So the crucial point is that this entire journey culminates in the closing lines of the passage. O Nanak, my thirst is quenched, and my mind and body have found peace. This is the absolute ultimate promise of this ancient wisdom. When you finally stop drinking from that endless salty well of external validation, when you quench your thirst with the rock-solid truth that you are already whole, your mind and body naturally find the sustainable internal peace. And that peace, it just naturally flows into absolutely everything you do, both personally and professionally. Which leaves us with this final, really vital thought to carry into the rest of your week. I want you to look at the reality of your daily hustle. Look at the exhaustion, look at the burnout, and ask yourself honestly, if millions of treasures already exist within you, what are you still chasing? I really hope this explainer has given you the clarity to find a bit of your own inner stillness today. Thanks so much for joining me, and please take care of yourselves out there.